All right, guys, we are back. It is the Season 7, Episode 7 of Game of Thrones review by the two dads. I'm starting that shit over. That was not even fucking right. There wasn't even... I don't even know what the fuck I was talking about there. We're starting over. Oh, man. This episode has me fucked up. You know what? We'll just keep it, because I'm good. Because this episode, I'm not even sure what to think about it.
Yeah, so far you're off to a better start than that episode.
True. Oh, there you go. That's exactly right. I'll give you that. All right, so everybody who just decided not to turn us off, this is a Two Dads Review podcast. I am Dad One Clay on this end of the mic. On the other end of the mic is my lovely co-host, Corey, otherwise known as...
You got Sloth Bear over here.
Yep, find him anywhere online that matters under Sloth Bear 35. There you go. We'll knock out a couple of the boring stuff first. Head on over to twodadsreview.com. You can listen to us there. You can also find links to all of your favorite podcast listening locations: iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, TuneIn. You can also head over to the Two Dads Review YouTube channel. You can find the podcast there. And make sure that you follow us, like us, tweet at us, message us, email us, anything you want to do. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr. Links to all those are on the website as well. Or you can just search under Two Dads Review. So that's out of the way. We also are, since this is the last episode of Game of Thrones for this season, next week we will be moving to American Horror Story Season 7. I know we've been teasing it for a little while now. We broke the news to Corey that it was going to be clowns, so he's super hyped. And so that show is starts on the 5th of September. That's a Tuesday, so it's Tuesday night. So we probably won't put the podcast out till Fridays now. So we're gonna start your weekend off right with the Two Dads Review starting on Fridays next week. So look for the podcast on the 8th. So that's the administrative stuff. Remember to like and share us and review us on anywhere that allows you to review us, 5 stars, stuff like that. Let us know what you think. And so with that wonderful start, let's so Corey, what'd you think of the episode overall? How was your thoughts about it?
I mean, it was probably the worst episode of the season to me.
There goes half our audience.
Everything about it was just underwhelming to me. And I know you've said it before, they've never had an episode that ended with big booming, what kind of thing, but even the stuff that did happen in this, outside of Jaime, in my opinion, was just...
Could have been done bigger.
Or just slightly, just a little better. Just
right.
A little better. It just seemed like they were going, everybody knows what we're doing now, so here it is.
Right.
All right, you guys already know what's coming. We got to prepare, so just here's the last episode. Why was it almost 2 hours? That didn't need to exist at all.
Yeah, when you mentioned that last week about how long it was, I was really hoping. I was like, oh, we're actually maybe going to get a whole bunch of battle stuff and then some talking and some piece moving and some setting up for next season. And they just talked a bunch. And while important and closing some loops and starting up some new stuff, it definitely... it wasn't a bad episode. It was. I personally don't think that any person who's been watching Game of Thrones this long should expect anything major from the last episode of the season. I thought it may have changed a little bit because we were getting only 7 episodes, so there'd be a little bit of a change up. Because even the very final scene that was big and amazing and life changing to this realm and to this world that we've been watching for 7 seasons. That underwhelmed me as well, because I feel like it was just a CGI fest, and I was like, "That's great," but okay, so it's going to be. I'm going to attempt during this episode of the podcast to try to convince Corey and partially myself that this episode was very important and very good and sealed off season 7 for the penultimate season of Game of Thrones very well. But we'll see how that ends. We'll see how we do it by the end of the show. So let's roll right into it. Episode 7, as we all know, is titled "The Dragon and the Wolf." Pretty much on the nose. I don't think there's any real deep meaning to that. So one cool thing that I'm excited for, that I'm excited for next season, is that our opening credits will never look the same again, because the wall is going to be different in the opening credits. It won't be complete anymore. Eastwatch won't be there. It'll be crumbled. It'll be kind of neat. I'll be waiting to watch for that.
Will they even show it?
Well, I mean, part of the wall is still there. I'm sure they'll break the wall. I'm sure they'll break the wall off a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, when they scroll by, like, will it be like Eastwatch and then like just kind of show it and like not being able to be built? You know what I'm saying? Like, is the little little puzzle gears, like broken? Kind of thing. Like, what are they doing with it? Or there's just like, yeah, we don't talk about Eastwatch, and it's just not on the map anymore.
It's just black and smoking, just a pile of rubble. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be cool to see what they do with the opening scene. That's just the opening scroll for all the credits. That'll be kind of neat. So they start at King's Landing. We start outside the walls. I'm not sure which section of King's Landing they're standing in front of, but we see Grey Worm and all the Unsullied that we saw in the trailer last week standing outside in formation. And definitely Dany is definitely coming with everything. She's showing force with this meeting. She's not just showing up and trusting that something's not going to go wrong. She is definitely, this is what I have, so feel free to, I'll show you mine if you show me yours type thing.
Yeah, come at me, bro.
And then so we get a shot inside the walls of King's Landing, and Bronn is running around watching all the troops prepare. They're boiling pitch, and 500 barrels of it, and he calls for another 500 after looking over and seeing what was there.
Bring me 500 more.
Right, that's you brought exactly not enough. Go get more. Yes. One thing I do want to mention is that no matter all the shit he was talking as he pulled Jaime out of that lake, he didn't cut ties. He didn't go, up, dragons, I'm out of here, like he said he was going to do. So either, Jaime offered him something more, or he just had nothing else to do this weekend, so he decided to show up for the battle. So I thought it was kind of neat that he didn't leave. So that's good. I can't have this show without him. So hopefully, if they ever do kill him, it's at the very, very end.
Yeah, I think that was one of those things where they brought him in, and like the show he wasn't going to run because, as we'll get to it later, a lot of allegiances are going to shift, and all of a sudden, I think he may come into play with like, no, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to do that. And, but we don't know what side it's going to be for, I feel like, because he's still...
Right. Are we going to find out if he's loyal to money or loyal to friends, which he pretends like he doesn't care about?
Yeah. And, right. You're going to kind of have that. But, I think with what happens between the Lannisters later in the episode, and, you got Jaime going his way and whatnot, I think Bronn might kind of
flip-flop.
Chivalrous thing, like, all right, I get it, dude. Like, this is definitely way more important.
Agreed. Yep. So, they have a nice conversation about Bronn brings up just a bunch of men with no cocks, just staring at the whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a nice little back and forth. Maybe they spend their money on family.
Yeah, he's like, well, what about family? Not if you don't have a cock, you don't.
So there was definitely some good banter back and forth for the beginning of this, and it was there was some nice lighthearted parts of this episode as well.
It was definitely a well-worded, well-spoken episode. I just think the visuals and like even the character emotion didn't justify what was going down, like around
what we've been building to for 7 years.
Yeah, like I can't pronounce his name. The redheaded beard dude.
Tormund.
Yep.
Yep.
Only his facial expression when he saw what he saw, like, was the only justified reaction in the whole show. Like, everybody else's was, like, underachieving to a degree. You know, like, I felt his was the only, like, reaction on level with what was going on. Like, everybody else was just kind of like, yep, I'm here. Let's do it.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, so we get a shot of Euron's fleet in the bay. You can see his three-masted ship out there at the front. So we know he's in town. And then we see Tyrion, Varys, Theon, Jon, and Davos all on their ship facing their few ships facing the fleet. So they go in a conversation. Jon asks how many live in the city to Tyrion. He says, give or take 1 million. So, and Jon's like, that's literally all the people we have in the north. It's like 1 million. It's like, you guys cram them all in there. So, but that number comes in handy a little bit later on. And then we get a quick little scene of the Hound going to the down below in the ship to check on the White, because all of our fears right now is that it's not gonna be okay when it gets there. It's gonna be dead. No one's gonna believe him. So he, of course, all of his stuff this episode though was on point. Like if we're talking about characters who were on point this episode, the Hound was on point the entire episode. Every scene he had was fantastic. So this one was comedic because he's going to check on it, approaching it like it's a sleeping zombie. So yeah, and then he hit, he taps on it and the thing goes nuts. He's like, okay, we're still good, but he's I'm getting out of here.
That box took off like it was on hydraulics, man. Yeah, and I love the Hound's reaction. Like, he kind of got like a little, I don't want to say scared, but like he jumped a little bit because it startled him. But then at the same time, he was like, all you could hear him saying in his head was like, "Fucking cunt," and just like going upstairs. He's like, "God damn it! When am I done with this thing?"
Right. Yeah, not for a little bit because you get to. So we switch real quick to the Red Keep, where Cersei is getting ready with Qyburn. She's asked out loud. She's like, "Where is where is?" I forget if she calls her the silver-haired bitch. She does that later, but Where is she? And he goes, we don't know. She hasn't arrived yet, because they know everybody else is there. And then so she turns to the Mountain, and she's like, if all this goes south, you kill her first, you kill my brother second, you kill Jon, you kill the Lord of the King of the North next, and then everybody else, feel free to pick and choose as you will. So she's
that
already
was the best part about it, dude. I love how she was like, whatever, after my list, just have at him, just however you see fit. Like,
right.
I love how she's just going, I'm gonna kill everybody. I'm gonna kill everybody. Like, she doesn't leave anybody out. She could have easily just been like, and then, listen for your next orders or whatever. But she's like, nah, man, just everything in your wake, get rid of. I like how she's just like, kill the bloodline, scorch the earth, salt it. She's like, nothing's ever coming back.
That's right. She's sticking true to her the way she is, so nothing's changing anytime soon. So we switched down to the crew that was on the boat approaching what we learned very quickly to be what's called the Dragon Pit. They give a little bit of background of when the Targaryens took the throne. They had these dragons, and you couldn't just let them fly around and hang out, because the dragons don't know or care about the difference between livestock, people, houses, kids, anything that, they just burn everything and eat everything. So they use this pit to house them and to pretty much trap them, this, Colosseum style arena. And over time we learned that that's what ended up making the dragons get smaller and smaller, and then, be extinct at the end of it all. And then so you have Jon and his crew walking up, and then Bronn is escorting his crew, some Lannisters. He has Brienne in tow a lot as well, and Pod. So it was very cool because they do their pleasantries, and I use air quotes with pleasantries, but Bronn is never really pleasant. But then you do get a really nice interaction between Tyrion and Pod, who I didn't even look up when the last time these two saw each other. But Tyrion tells him, it's a pleasant surprise in an unpleasant situation, to see him. And so it was nice for those two to get together. And then, of course, Bronn jumps in and goes, "You can suck his magic cock later. We got to get inside here."
Yeah.
And then on the way in, you get a nice little the Brienne and the Hound see each other for the first time since she thought she killed him. So she's like, "I thought you were dead."
Yeah, basically, yeah. And he's like, "Nope, not yet."
Yeah, and then she informs him that Arya is still alive and at Winterfell, which is another time that his character that was on point. It just the way his face shifted, like he got a hop in his step and smiled. He's like, "Ah, cool, she made it."
Yep.
And he's like, "Who's protecting her now?" And she goes, "The only one who's protecting is the one who gets in her way."
Yeah.
And he goes, "It won't be me." And they both kind of smile, and he kind of bounces along. And I think part of it, I wish he had made a joke about it, because the look on her face would have been priceless. But I wanted to think that part of his smiling was thinking about all this shit that Tormund had said the whole last episode about how much he loved her and how much they're gonna have all the baby talk about her. If he had just he's like, "I met your boyfriend while we were up north." I would love to have him drop something like that.
Yeah, that'll probably come later somehow. It'll come up. There's just no way it can't.
Well, the only way it can come up is if he's still alive, because we don't know whether or not he's still alive, which pisses me off to absolutely no end. But we'll get to that part of the show later. So now I'm just getting mad. Let's just
Waiting
move
for
on.
That piece of dynamite to go off.
So where do we move from now? So they are. It's during this same walk, Tyrion is questioning Bronn's allegiances. Whether he's like, "You sure he's like, "My offer's still good. I'll pay you double whatever they're paying you." And he's like, I'm fine. I literally brought her 2 of the heads that she wants on her plate. It's in one place. I can't do anything wrong right now.
When he was like, how am I not looking after myself speech, he's like, "I don't really see any wrong in what I'm doing."
Mr. Bronn's doing just fine. Yeah, that's exactly how it was.
Yeah, and his little peacock strut that he does, yeah.
So everybody arrives inside the arena, and then let's see. Everyone else arrives. So Cersei and all her crew, everybody arrives, and you see the Hound see the mountain for the first time since Clegane Bowl 1. Back when they fought during way earlier in the show, and he just
even count.
Yeah, and so it was great. So he just no hesitation, just walks right up to the mountain. He's like, "You're uglier than I am."
Yeah.
And he's like, but then he says, so on the surface, he says, "You know who's coming for you." And from what I've read and seen so far, people are just like, he's talking about himself. He's like, "Don't worry, I'm gonna kill you. That's my job. You're mine later on down the road when I'm given the chance."
Yeah.
But I felt like I want to read more into what he said. I want there to be something else to that, but there probably isn't. But the way he said it, I still don't know why he just didn't say. He's not a person that has notoriously spoke in riddle, so he would have just said, "I'm gonna fucking kill you later," right?
Yeah, he's usually pretty straightforward. I wonder, maybe he saw a little bit more in the fire.
Maybe. Ooh, that's a good point. I like that. I'll go with that. I want it to be something. I just want it to be something other. He's not one that speaks in riddles, but it is a riddle, so now it's like, well, crap. Is it a riddle? Or are you just meaning yourself? And if it's yourself, why didn't you just say it was yourself? So, we'll see. It was just something I kind of wanted to point out. And there is so you have everybody sat down real nice. No one's having a good time. Bronn takes Pod off for a drink because he's like, I don't want to be here for this.
yeah. He's like, come on, let you and I go get a drink and let the fancy folk talk.
Exactly. I love that he says that shit out loud in front of in front of his boss. Actually, like his boss's boss's boss. So it's like I just love that he just says that shit out loud.
Well, I like how he just doesn't care what hierarchy is there.
Exactly. So Cersei's like, where is she? Like, she's not here. And they're like, no, not yet. And then, of course, you hear and so all this tension, and then just you hear the dragon screech, and you see Jaime first. Like, Jaime, the look on Jaime's face, another great shot is like, you can
Jaime
see
looked
how
like he was
scared.
on Mole Rat Kingdom.
Yeah, well, that
he popped up so quick.
That's because his pants filled that fast. That's what he is not even messing with those dragons. He knows that they can't do anything about those things. Every chance he gets, he's like, we cannot win. There is no way we are winning this
he's like,
battle.
how many times do I have to tell you this?
We are all gonna die. So, and it's crazy because Cersei doesn't really react. I know she's like holding it in, like making sure, but she's the only one that doesn't stand up, doesn't go looking around. And then, I got to give her some credit for that because she doesn't hold it together later on in this scene. But, Dany makes her entrance because the only way she can, I have to admit, of entrances, she's got a pretty cool one right now. Landing that dragon on the wall, and just the way they have that dragon move. I love when they use their they use their hands to move, like to actually crawl wherever they go. It's just so menacing. It's great. So it was a nice entrance, I thought.
Oh no, dude! Like, yeah, the way the dragon crawled down like the wall and everything, like it was legit. I was like, man, that's cool. Like, I mean, if you're gonna come into a coliseum like that, that's all crumbling around you, hey, let's let off a few loud screams and cause a couple like loose boulders to fall, and let me traipse this giant lizard down the side and scare the living crap out of everything and everyone in front of me. Yeah, right. No, dude, that's an entrance of all entrances.
Right, and we know it's all of her stuff she's doing. It's all posturing. It's all showing of force. So she couldn't just walk in. She had to fly in on the dragon and let everybody see. Just in case you forgot, I really do have a dragon.
Cersei caught on like, where's the
very
third
quickly,
one?
right? She does.
She was like, something's up. Where's the third one?
She does bring that up later on. You're absolutely correct. Tyrion tries to start. So Dany sits, nods at Tyrion. He tries to start the speech. My favorite character this season, Euron, jumps up and he's like, or he speaks up and says, "Hey Theon, like I've got your sister. She's still alive. Like, bow to me, and she'll be alive again. I'll leave her alive." And then like Jaime's like, it's like, shut up. Like, shut up. Can you not shut up for 5 seconds? You have one job. Just sit here and sail a boat. Two jobs. Just shut up. And then even Cersei like tells him to shut up, and the mountain like steps from behind her, like, because Euron had gotten up. But knowing what we know later on in the episode, so is she already like, it's all like her portion of it was a play, because we know Jaime didn't know, so Jaime was just seriously like, dude, STF, like, shut up, just stop.
Oh yeah, no, I think that whole thing now was just like
their play, their acting.
Yeah, their propaganda
for Cersei and the Mountain. But not for Jaime. Jaime was just reacting because he hates the guy. Because Jaime didn't know.
Because you come to find out Jaime had no idea of anything that was going on in that area. Right.
So, yeah. So Cersei's already, like, this is where the act begins for her. Like, where she starts the whole ploy that she has planned. Which is funny, because then she knows whatever she's going to see is actually going to happen. So, I mean, the fact that she believes that they were going to see a white, hey, if a white shows up and they bring a white, here's what you're going to do. Like, the fact they had that conversation, I would have loved to have seen that boardroom meeting with her and Euron and Qyburn and the Mountain.
I don't think that was, like, really ever a discussion. I don't think she cared what they brought.
Okay.
I think, like I said, she was going to agree and say whatever she needed to say. Like Tyrion points out to Jon Snow later, like, hey, don't you think you can just lie a little bit just every once in a while, like, for the greater good kind of thing? But, yeah, like, I knew that she was going to say whatever, and I didn't really think that at any point would she play nice with him. Like, I think in the beginning of the season I kind of thought she'd play nice, but the more I watched it, I was like, oh no, she's going to just have the meeting and then do whatever she's going to do anyways, and she's going to say what she needs to say to get them to take a step back, or, you know, like, she'll move a couple armies or something like that just to make everything look A-okay, and it's really not.
Right. Yeah, she's definitely ready to do whatever she can do to stay on the throne. And if she dies, she wants to make sure everyone else dies too. That's all she cares about now.
Yeah, which like I feel that Jon and everybody should like understand that, right? So like one, why are they ever gonna trust her? Like, I know they brought a White Walker and whatnot, but I'm also at the same time, I'm like, if you didn't want to kill millions of people, why didn't you just have one of those dragons munch down on everybody on that table right there and then just basically initiate your rule? Like, don't kill anybody, don't do anything, just go, Lannisters are dead, Cersei's not here, like, White Walkers are coming, if you want to have this argument, deal with them on your own, but everybody else is moving this way to deal with the problem in the north. Like, I feel like it would have that would have been the smartest. I know it would have killed the show. Like, I understand that. But I'm just thinking in a grand scheme of things, I feel like that would have just been the smarter play. Because you just got to know that Miss Lannister is gonna...
She's going to dick you in the end.
She's going to stab you in the back in some way. And you know it's going to be, whether she succeeds or not, it's going to be enough to ruin whatever you're trying to do on the other side.
Right.
Like, she'll make sure that, oh, you may kill me, but I will make sure that I blow up the rest of the wall, or that all of my army dies here so they all turn into White Walkers, or, you know, like, whatever. Like, she'll do something bonkers like that.
Right. All right, so let's, you completely agree. And so let's move on. So Jon jumps up and lets Tyrion take a break and begins his main speech. He brings up the million number that he was told as they pulled in. He's like, you realize that the million people in this town just became a million more for the army of the dead, because this army doesn't leave corpses behind. And then of course the Hound gets to bring in the box from the underside. You know, when I saw the under part of the arena where you can where the stairs that come up from underneath of it, I was like, if they're gonna have that, they got to use it, and they did. Dude,
I like to, like when we watched it together, I like how you actually said that. You were like, yeah, if you got it, might as well use it.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, you're gonna have him.
Excited that he came up through that.
There was very few excitement portions of this episode, so I had to take it where I had him. All right,
but I think you're absolutely correct though, that every scene with the Hound in it was 100% top notch.
On point. Yep. So we get an extended version of his bit as to whether or not the White is going to react. So like he's doing all this stuff to the box and it's not going crazy. It's not moving, and like he even gets the top off of it and like looks into it, and nothing's happening, and I'm like,
and by the way, he tried to move the top like it was a bed sheet as quickly as he could, like, so his hands or nothing were like remotely by the little coffin thing that was holding.
Yeah, he definitely. Yeah, he as soon as that thing opened where something could reach out of it, his hands were out of the way, and then he was like, and we're off. Like it's all done. So finally, the best part is he gives it a swift kick, and that thing just takes off like a bat out of hell, and straight for Cersei too. And this is the first time that you actually see her. I think up until this point, she wasn't sure what, like we said a minute ago, up until this point, she didn't know what was going to happen. She didn't care what was going to happen, but I think we actually truly saw what fear looked like for her for just a second, because she climbed at the back of that chair.
I actually think they probably didn't tell her what was coming out of that box, because her reaction looked legit.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I don't know if you can like act that. Like that gasp was like, it was legit, man. Like it was on point. There was no way that she was not terrified in that scene.
Hey man, Lena Headey's that good. She is that good.
That's true. They're all fantastic.
So yeah, they are. We see, so Euron gets up and he's like, I've seen everything in this world. I've been all around this entire world, and I've seen everything.
I've seen a bunch of crazy crap.
Yeah, he's like, I've seen everything in this world, and this is the only thing that terrifies me. He's like, he's like, you said they can't swim? That's correct. Then I'm going back to my friggin' island. And he goes to Dany. He's like, you have an island. You should go there too, and we'll meet up when this is all over.
Yeah, we'll be the only ones left alive.
That was the best part. Another thing, real quick, that right before that is when Dany is explaining. I've seen them all. Like I've seen the army. It's 100,000 at least. Like Jaime's face does this just sinks. Like he's just like, ah, my god.
And I think we're done. Like you don't. Game of Thrones does a really good job of masking the size and the scale of like the armies and stuff, because you got to remember, like back in Kingdom times, 50 on 50 was a huge battle,
right?
Or 100 on 100. So, Jaime still, we got to kind of remember that he's still probably only, like, his army has always been the biggest, like, and that's a couple thousand. Right, so when you're hearing 100,000, he is just doing the sheer numbers of a formation in his head real quick, going, like he's having a mental breakdown of like what's happening in his head.
Right, which makes what he does later on in the episode even more awesome. That he's like, okay, I'll go up there anyways. It's fine. But
yeah. Hey, I'm playing the lottery, baby.
Let's
do it.
These folks have been real successful lately. So, and we have not been. But of course, we're made to believe this whole thing with Euron was all a ploy anyway. So, okay. So Cersei accepts the truce, and then Jon, being Jon, fucks it all up by
pulling a Sansa.
Right. Right. She all she says is the King of the North has to go back to the North and not pick a side. And he's like, well, I can't serve two queens, and I'm Jon Snow, and honor and all this great stuff. Which, hey, props to you, brother. But like everyone says in a few minutes, they're like, could you just lie once? Well, if people start telling lies, how are we supposed to believe words?
Like his response, though, like, how are you going to have change if it's just, if everyone's willing to lie a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more, then it's all nothing but lies again. That's where we're at right now. I'm like, God, you're annoying, man, but your virtue's so virtuous. I can't.
I love before he answers Cersei, he looks to Davos, and Davos is like, You know the answer, right? Like, you know what you're supposed to say, right?
Yeah.
And then after he says it, like, the camera goes to Davos, and he's like, damn it. And the camera goes to Dany. It goes to Dany, and she's like, damn it. And then it goes to everybody else. They're all like, damn it. Jon, come on. So
killing me, Smalls.
So Cersei, of course, storms out. It's not going to work. Nothing's going to happen. We get a really cool interaction between Brienne and Jaime, who haven't spoken a few seasons for sure, at least when she headed north with Oathbreaker. She's like, you've got to talk to her. He's like, well, I'm loyal to. She's like, well, fuck loyalty. And I was like, whoa, girl. Like, yeah, all the people in this whole show to say that, she is not the one, because she is loyal to a fault. She carries on her missions for seasons and seasons. She knows what she is all about, the loyalty. And she's like, this goes beyond houses. It goes beyond queens. It goes beyond anything. It's just survival.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. So like that's why it's all the more important that she says it. Like
Right.
that just goes to show like someone who has done basically everything from the moment she's came on screen as an oath or loyalty is like, yo, F loyalty. Like
Right,
we need
right.
all the heads we can get. Stop whatever you're doing. It's not worth it.
Exactly.
Hey, I think that makes it a little more dramatic, a little more important, especially since Jamie knows that, like knows that she's not gonna stop unless she's dead, to make things right.
Exactly. And so, very true. So Danny goes to talk to John. She's like, it's nice that you said that, but one of my dragons died, so we could be here. So could you not? Tyrion's like, have you ever considered learning to lie? Just
Yeah.
And John's like, false promises, words start meaning nothing. It's like, okay, all right, well, now what we're going to do. So Tyrion's like, I know how to do. I'll go talk to the one person in this entire area right now that all by myself in her own, chambers and try to convince her, even though I'm pretty sure I'm going to die when I walk through the door. But hey, I'll handle this, John. Thanks a lot, bro. Thanks for nothing.
Yeah, I'll do it alone.
Right. So, we cut to the Red Keep. The Mountain is walking Tyrion to Cersei's chambers, which is, I mean, you got a guy who's 6'11" or 7 something. I think, forget how tall the actor is who plays the Mountain, but it's just all you see is like his crotch and Tyrion. Like that's all you see in the shot. It's like, Jesus Christ, you're a big man.
Oh yeah, just dwarfing everything around him.
Yeah, and so Jamie's coming out of her room, or out of the out of her chambers, and he's like, did you talk to her? Or Tyrion's like, did you talk to her? He's like, until she kicked me out. So they're like, so should we say goodbye to each other? Because one idiot to another? Because apparently we're both friggin' idiots right now.
Yeah, that was they had a nice little like humorous powwow as you possibly could given the situation.
Dude, it's gonna be a brother show. Next season it's gonna be all the Tyrion Jamie show, man. It's gonna be great. They're going to get together for episodes at a time. It's going to be fantastic. So, all right. So I don't usually, because I am by no means a filmmaker. I've never tried to shoot film. I just like movies. I like watching this kind of stuff. So I rarely pick stuff up that's like, that I see that's shot a certain way. But if you go back to when Tyrion first enters her chambers, she's at her desk and is staring down a long walkway to the double doors that he comes in. When the doors close, there is a definite hue of blue on that end, and as he walks, it towards her end is like red. There's like a goldish red on her end, and it's a very cool transition. Like you can see the divide in them just from the shot. The north, the blue, the cold, the snow, all that stuff, and she's sitting in her. It almost shows the division of why she's still going to pull the trick she's going to do later on, because she doesn't see that side of it. It's really cool. I just happen to know. I watched it again last night and noticed that it was very cool. So hey, go back and look at that. Tweet at us. Tell me if you think I'm just crazy and just had a really bad color scheme on my TV. Who knows? I don't know, but I thought it looked cool. So he goes into his speech with her. Actually, yes, he mentions that he's been advising Danny that yes, she wanted to come down here and just burn you all to death, and I've been advising her, against that. Then Cersei goes into a big spiel about she knows he killed her dad, and she also accuses him of indirectly killing Tommen and Marcella. So that and he's like, fine, if you want to kill me right now. He turns to the Mountain and is like, just do it. He's like, just kill me. I don't care.
Yeah, man, he definitely called her out on it, and she couldn't do it. And then, like perfect Tyrion fashion, grabs a drink as quickly as possible, and like he is just sweating bullets after that. Like, whoo!
He's like, I made it. and then he pours her a glass, sets it down, and. This while he's drinking and pouring more wine, another reason that Peter Dinklage is a fantastic actor when he talks about her kids and how much he loves them. Like, he's like, I loved your kid. Like, I loved your children, like, more than you could ever imagine. Like, he got all, I mean, it was real emotional, like the way he was getting into it. It was pretty great. So he pours the wine, grabs his own, he explains to her, hey, I'm backing her because I think she'll make the world a better place. And Cersei's like, I'm only interested in protecting my family. And she, like, in her ploy that we all know from later on, she, is holding her belly and stuff. And he's like, oh, you're pregnant. So she's like using that to fool him. It was all to get him to, understand her point. I don't know. She's everything she does is the game. There's not a single thing she does that's not part of the game.
Oh yeah, but I mean, she's also gonna use whatever she has and any sympathies that may still be there. Like her letting that slip, I don't really think has too much bearing on anything.
I don't think it was a slip. I think she did it on purpose, so she's tricking him to think that she's behaving matronly and trying to protect. It was all a ploy. Whether we're pretty sure she's.
That's what I'm saying. Whether she slipped it or did it on purpose. Like, I don't think it has I don't think it has any effect on anything. Maybe her trying to, like, all I'm saying is it's really just Cersei being Cersei, like using anything and everything she can, right?
Right. Yep. Very true. So we cut back to the Dragon Pit. Jon and Dany have a little side conversation. She tells him she respects what he did, but wish he hadn't done it. Just like, even I'm like, look, just lie. Just, I know what you said. You know what you said. We literally haven't told anybody else at this meeting because they were all surprised that you said it. So you could have just waited. It's fine. Like, I wouldn't have held it against you. So she tells a story then about the Dragon Pit. And how caging them and keeping them, subdued made them get smaller and weaker and finally die off. They said it was sad that this whole arena was built, and by the time it was done, you had a few dragons that were barely the size of dogs running around. So,
and which would be terrifying, like barely the size of dogs. Like, I would never want to see a dragon of that size. Like, to me, that's almost more terrifying than a giant one, because like a giant one, you're going down in like one bite or one flame. Like, that sucks, one stomp, whatever. One the size of a dog, man, it's gonna gnaw on you for a bit. Like,
it's gonna melt your arm off.
It's gonna burn you only in a certain area for a little bit. It's gonna hurt.
Right.
Yeah, that's even more terrifying to me.
So then we're back to the theme of last episode, which is not having kids. And Jon, I love that Jon brings this up. He's like, who told you couldn't have kids? Oh, the witch that killed my husband. He goes, did you ever occur to you that she may not be a reliable source of information?
Yeah, like I like how he slipped that in there. Like, hey, do you ever think, not the best life advice person right there.
You could have gone for a second opinion. Like, just get another doctor in your PPO. It's fine. Just pick another one to check you out. Tyrion arrives. Cersei and Jaime and Qyburn and her crew are in tow. She states that she's not going to pull her troops back because she's going to march them north to fight alongside them against the army of the dead. And she gives this great speech about, later on, when this is all over, remember what I did for you here. Like, she can't even play the good guy when she's faking being the good guy. She still gives the cunt speech at the end. She's like, look what I did. Just remember this later on.
Yeah, but that's just her, dude. Like, she can't not be that. And don't you think, too, like, if she was, like, this wicked change of heart real quick, that everyone would be like,
yeah.
That's not right.
Right. We didn't trust you this morning. We're not trusting you this afternoon. That's for damn sure. Not after that change.
Yeah.
So that long chunk ends pretty much scene 1, all at King's Landing forever. Talking and talking, getting all that stuff through. A whole bunch of folks who haven't been on screen together in a long time or ever. So it was kind of a momentous scene. I understand why. I don't feel like anything was said in that whole giant scene that wasn't needed. There may have been a little bit, but not a lot. So we switched to scene 2, which is in Winterfell. Sansa and Littlefinger are doing their normal, private consultation. She apparently has received a raven that Jon has pledged himself in the North to Dany. She's pretty much shitting on him for it, but as we find out later. So my point is now, this is my big thing for the whole episode that I tried to figure out when I watched it again last night, was at which point does she flip-flop, or is she already, remember, so last week you and I were talking, we're like, we hope they're not this stupid. The two dads believe that they are already in this together, and they know that Littlefinger, all this stuff, so we really don't know, and they never tell us if Sansa is already playing Littlefinger, or if she decides after this meeting we see right now, she goes and has a long think, and decides to do what she does later on in the episode. So so let's get back to what's happening. So she's crapping on Jon for bending the knee. Littlefinger.
Well, hold on real quick, because later, when the sisters are talking, Sansa's like, you planned this whole thing out. So I think probably since that little scroll piece was introduced and Arya found it, there's probably a lot of backdoor conversation going on, especially when she kind of explained what she was and everything.
That's what we thought last week, and I want to believe that. So that means that Sansa's still playing him right now, and so she has, she's playing being upset at Jon, whether or not she actually is. At this point, I totally think.
You
think they're playing now? I
think the whole way she presented it to him in this, oh my God, I need your wise wisdom, as she was, because as she was complaining, as she was complaining out loud, it was like all of her questions were out loud, what do I do about Jon? Oh my God, I can't believe he did that. And, of course, so Littlefinger's like, I'm gonna formulate a plan here to get the next thing that I want or whatever, when I really just think she's just feeding basically his ego at this point, letting him think that he's in control.
Agreed. I'm gonna go into this hiatus between these seasons believing this, that since their conversation in her room in the last episode where she gave her the dagger, that they have formulated this whole plan. And I'm believing that, and I'm glad I'm believing it. Because I want to, because I think it's fantastic, and those girls aren't that stupid, so good on them. So this whole ploy during this scene, now that we're agreeing that it is, she talks about how scared she is of Arya. She's like, "Do you know what a faceless man is? Do you know she was training with them?" And so he pulls out his. Sometimes when I try and understand a person's motives, I play a little game. I assume the worst. So tell me, what's the worst thing that she could want? And I guess you're right, because she says Arya would want to be the Lady of Winterfell, but which we know she doesn't. She doesn't. That's not her. So that's the best tell, is that she gives Littlefinger that. He thinks she's telling him the truth, but we all know that Arya gives two shits about being a lady of anything.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
no, that was sisters weeding out people that aren't in the North.
That's right.
And getting rid of them. Because right, so, even later in the scene, when Littlefinger's groveling, even his own people are like, nope.
Sorry, bro.
On your own, cowboy. Not happening.
Right. So we move on from that. That was a quick little scene. So scene 3, we move to Dragonstone. In the map table room, they're planning out how to get all their armies north. They are discussing whether or not she should sail or fly up there. They don't want her to take the road. One wrong arrow and this is all done for. Jon says, "Look, you need to. We want people to know that you've come to save the North, not to conquer it. So you need to be. We need to show a force." Together, we need to show ourselves together, since I'm the one backing you. So they switched to the throne room. Unless you had anything you wanted to say about the quick scene in the map room, it wasn't majorly long.
No, like I almost didn't really get what they were getting at there.
They just didn't want her just to jump from Dragonstone right to wherever the army's going to end up. He wanted her to actually take the roads of the sail up to where they're to the harbor, to which I forget the name of where they're going to be, and then take the roads to wherever they're going, which I'm guessing they're going to Eastwatch, which won't be there, but that's where they're probably heading because it's all on that side of the wall. Dragonstone and Eastwatch are all on the east side of Westeros. So they're sailing to wherever, and they want her to not just fly places, they want her to get out and see the people because she is that kind of queen and that kind of leader. She likes being down with the people, and they just want to make sure that the other folks are just worried that someone may try to assassinate or stuff like that. It was that was the whole point of the conversation. Okay. So it may not mean shit now, but it may mean something next season when they get to where they were going, realize that Eastwatch is done, but who knows? I mean, the Army of the Dead's through, so who cares what other people in Westeros are going to do to you?
Yeah, that's true.
So then we get another quick scene between Theon and Jon in the throne room at Dragonstone. It was definitely a good scene between them. We see Theon's transition back from Reek back to being Theon start here. They talk a lot about Ned Stark and how he was more of a father to Jon tells Theon that he was more of a father to Theon than Theon's own dad was. He also says, you're a Greyjoy and you're a Stark, which straightens up Theon. Theon's like, I was there for more of my childhood than I was, in the Iron Isles. So
yeah, stop being a baby. Like it was a good firm talking to, is what it was.
Good old sit down.
Yeah, it was like, look, dude, I love you, but you got to get your shit together, man. Like some things you got to do for yourself if you don't want to be these things anymore.
Right, and exactly, and Theon tells him of when Yara tried to save him a few seasons ago when Ramsay had him prisoner and he bailed and didn't leave with her. He's like, I've got to go save her. I've got to make up for that. And so Jon's like, why are you still here?
Yeah.
And so he's pretty much like, nut up and go get her.
Yep.
Ooh, that's probably too soon. Like, I should have said that. So then we switch straight to the landing craft that are on the beach of Dragonstone. All of the men from the ship that Theon came in, and he confronts the captain that had picked him out of the water and said, they're like, we're going to go find an island. We're going to go kill all the men. We're going to take all the women, and we're going to wait till this battle's over. And spits in Theon's face. And then, he tells him, run along, little Theon. Isn't that what you do best? And so Theon's like, not no more. So they get into it. He pulls he just gets punched on for the first 5 minutes. And the captain's like, stay down or I'll kill you.
Yeah, the captain's almost more winded from kicking his ass for so long than Theon is from just taking punches.
So in light of what weekend it was kind of like Theon was, well, I can't even say that because Mayweather didn't get hit that much, but he wasn't rocked like Theon was, but Theon definitely let him get winded, and then the guy tries to finish it off with a crotch shot, and that was all.
He's coming up blank there, man.
The look on his face is just like, oh man.
Yeah, does it again, and then Theon just smiles.
And he headbutts him and beats the crap out of him, and he's like, gets the not for me for Yara, and it gets everybody all hyped up. So apparently that's what it takes for Iron Islanders to get all rowdy. So they're all going to back him, and they're all going to sail off to fight Euron. So except if Euron's going to ferry the gold company over, he's not even going to where Yara is, excuse me. And
yeah, but Yara's probably on his boat.
Probably. Good point.
Like,
yeah.
I imagine Yara is not far from his side in everything.
Just okay, well, that's a good point.
He's weird, and he would make her watch, and plus to keep an eye on her. That guy. She's not out of his sight at all.
Right, and So that means we'll get to see the big old front plank again, the big old jaw that lets them board the ships again. That'll be great. Whenever they go to attack Euron ship. I just love Euron ship. I love everything about Euron. I got a little bit of a crush on him. I really do.
He needs to be involved a little more.
Yeah, I hope we get more of him next season. We have to get Yara back. So
I wonder if we're gonna get like his supposed suit of armor.
Which one is that?
Well, because Euron is supposed to have a Valyrian suit of armor.
Really?
Yeah, like a full body, head to toe suit of armor that's Valyrian. That's actually like worth more than pretty much anything in the world. And I don't remember how he acquired it.
Interesting.
But I remember he was like, because one of his badass stories was like he sailed into the place that no one would sail into, and he took it and he sailed out. Like that's basically what they said. They're like, you don't make it out alive, and he did.
Nice. That brings up a point real quick. I want to go back to the first scene, which I know it was long, but just hear me out. So when Jon killed the White Walker to show them how he's like, you can kill him with fire, when they cut the hand off and he lit it on fire, which by the way, that harkens back to the book, the original story where they had the hand that was still moving, it was just kind of like a little bit of a nod to the book readers, like, here's a hand type. It just, anyways. And then he said he pulled a dragonglass dagger and he killed him with the dragonglass dagger. But he didn't tell them that Valyrian steel also does the job on them as well. I thought that was kind of interesting that he left that out.
Yeah, during his thing. Doesn't realize it?
He knows. No, he knows his Valyrian. No, he knows the Valyrian steel swords are what kills the whites, the generals, at least the generals. I'm not sure personally if it affects the White Walkers the same way, but I'm pretty sure it does. It's a one-hit kill on everybody. But we know at least for the main generals it is, which still would be something you wanted to bring up. Anyways.
I guess that's like, keep your enemy close or whatever, keep your friends close, your enemies closer kind of thing. He's like, I'm not giving you the whole kit and caboodle over here. I got to make sure you do what you're supposed to.
Right. So, we move to Winterfell back again. And Sansa's standing alone on the wall. It's a shot we saw in the trailer last week. She turns to her guard and she says, have my sister brought to the Great Hall. And so we're like, oh, what's going to happen? Because, we're watching. We're like, oh, crap.
Yeah, I instantly got mad. Because I was like, if you were under Littlefinger's spell, little girl. I was so angry.
Yeah, because at that point, we hadn't had a chance to figure out if they were in on it. We didn't know. We wanted them to be in cahoots together, but we didn't have any sort of notion towards that. So, yeah, we were definitely, you and I were definitely both on the edge of your couch, like, oh, please don't let this go away. It's gonna, because she's gonna kill a lot of people if she sicks somebody to try to kill Arya. There's gonna be a lot of dead people in Winterfell. So, I love that. So when Arya walks in, hands behind her back, just kind of saunters in, and she's like, "Are you sure you want to do this?"
Yeah.
So Sansa goes. This is the part that I saw last night that I did not notice when you and I watched it. So Sansa goes on her list of charges to quote unquote Arya, looking at Arya, and murder. I accuse you of murder and treason. How do you plea, Peter Baelish, Lord Baelish? And so you have this hall full of people, guards, everybody else. Nobody was surprised. They all just turned their heads like, we knew this shit was going to happen. Like, we all are in on it, and you're not, bro. So no one, there wasn't a gasp. There wasn't any sort of like mumbling that you would get from a turn. So literally, I think the girls played his game better than him because they're Northerners, and whether or not he thought he had whisperers, I bet they knew everything he had done. And this further backs up our point that the girls knew this from when that scroll was originally put in the bed, because no one in that room reacted other than just to turn at Littlefinger and be like, Yep. Like this is what's going to happen. There wasn't any grumblings from anybody.
Oh yeah, no, dude, I totally think that her and Arya like put on the perfect clinic of
all of Winterfell. Everybody at Winterfell.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, but what I'm saying is Arya and Sansa put on a clinic to Littlefinger in his own game and showed,
Yes.
and also I think you got to see probably behind closed doors. I wonder how much intimidating Arya did. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe slipped on a face or something like that and just freaked somebody the F out. And that like may have had some doubts about that. But I also think no one ever trusted Littlefinger. You know, like I don't think that was a really hard sell at the end of the day when they're like, hey, yada, 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 yada. And pretty much everyone goes, huh, gee, that makes perfect sense of why this scenario happened the way it did. Yeah,
right. And
we're with you. Yeah,
right.
You know.
And that goes down to where she ties everything that's ever happened since the first episode of this show to him. It's all an orchestrated plot by him. You know, Jon Arryn dying, him pushing Lisa Arryn out the moon door, the letter to the Starks saying that he was dead, and then Robert Baratheon traveling up to make Ned the Hand, and she the whole time she's like, "Do you deny this? Do you deny this?" And you know, you turned on my father when you were at King's Landing, and he goes, "None of you were there to see it." And then Bronn's like, "Hey, I was there. I could be there."
Bronn's like, "In case you forget, I see everything."
Actually, you know? actually, I'm there right now. And you said you held a knife to his throat, and you said, "I did warn you not to trust me." Like it's just Bronn's like, or Bran, excuse me, Bran's just Bran, another character who had some nice stuff this episode. That was one of them, and another one comes here in a little bit. But Bran is starting to mellow out. He's not mellow out because he's been way mellow for a while. He's starting to like there's a little bit of Bran showing back up.
He smiled a couple times, and I don't think those were fake. You know,
right. So I feel like he's finally getting a hold of what he's got. And the look that Littlefinger gives him when Bran tells him that, like that's when he switches gears to like groveling and crying and just snotting all over himself.
Oh yeah, and to go into anything, get anyone. Like he was trying to pull out any favor that he may have had left in his pocket.
Right. I mean, he's like, "Can we speak alone?" Which is creepy as shit.
Yeah.
If we could just speak alone,
I can explain everything. Like, yeah, dude, that's gonna happen.
Right, and then she goes back and quotes his exact thing to her that they talked about in private about, you know, I play a little game and I imagine what's the worst thing that person could want. You know, she says it right back to him.
Yep.
And so he hits the ground and he's like, "I loved your mother," and she goes, "And you betrayed her." He goes, "I love you." He's like, "And you betrayed me."
Yeah. And
so he's just on the ground, and Arya without even. So this is where you get upset because. And I agree, and we talked about this before we started recording. Go ahead. Tell me what you told me before we said. Go ahead.
All right, so we get it, man. Like, he's all groveling. He's been called out on it. But we all know Littlefinger deserved, I don't want to say a better death, but a better death scene.
A worse death.
Yes. Like, him just getting his throat slashed and bleeding out and, like, whatever. Like... You're telling me the girls came up with this master plan to get rid of him, but they couldn't have, you know, killed him behind closed doors to wear his face or something like that? Or like I just feel like there wasn't enough like, you know why? Like when he whispered into Ned's ear, man, like that was intimate. Like this was just for all of the stuff he did to their family, there was not enough intimacy in this kill.
Okay, and while the real me agrees with you, I'm going to play counterpoint for you real quick. So his entire life he's tried to be more than he actually was. From beginning to end, he's tried to be more than he was. So is it almost fitting that Arya kills him without even a care, and it's a quick death. It doesn't matter to anybody. No one cares. You know, no one even blinks an eye. That could. I'm only saying that because he is in the long run so insignificant, and he was nothing and tried to become more, and this shows you what happens in Westeros when you try to be more than you actually are.
Well, I never thought of that, and that is some great symbolism. Probably,
there you
go. probably correct, and I don't. Whatever.
You don't care.
Nope, I don't.
I wouldn't see his head come off.
You could have snuck up behind him and, whispered in his ear too, "I told you not to trust me," or something, just so he had like one more gasp of like "holy shit," and then slit his throat.
Well, I love that he was trying to talk up, and he even got the word like "I" out, because I saw it because I turned on. When I take notes when I watch a show, I got turned on the subtitles so I can actually read what they're saying, because some people mumble a lot in this show. So he actually got the word "I" out like as he was after his throat was slit. So he was trying to talk, which is all he ever did up until the very end, and then he collapsed and he was over. And we say farewell to Littlefinger, but we hardly knew ye.
Yeah. I mean, I guess now when you point it like that, it makes more sense. But again, I was still bitter about it at the time.
No, that's cool. I want to see Arya in front of a mirror, putting his face on, like Buffalo Bill style. Like, I still want to see that scene. That's fine.
Like, I just don't think it'll happen though, because she killed him in front of everybody. And
well,
what are the Knights of the Vale gonna do?
So I did, when I was watching another review, I did get this part. So what really kind of sucks, what we're going to be subjected to next season, is friggin' Robert Aaron, old slippery spine, Robert Aaron, old nipple sucker is going to be back, and I'm not looking for it because that kid, just like all the the younger folks that when they were younger on this show, he plays his part so well. Like when you see him, you're just like, just like, man, God.
Yeah, he totally is a disgusting human.
Yeah, it's gross. So we're going to.
He's meant to be, but it's like it's just there's nothing. He's so creepy. He's so creepy, man.
So it depends on who was there, who was in that room from the Vale. If it was just the guard that he asked, you may have a chance of the few folks from the Vale that were in that room, like keeping the secret and letting Arya do her thing and letting her put on a Peter mask, and that would be okay. I would be okay with that. So we'll see. We'll all know next year.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Or they,
I would like to see
they just have a revolt against him and like join up under her somehow.
There you go. Okay, so that finishes up that scene at Winterfell. We'll come back here very shortly. We go back to King's Landing. Jaime has all his generals with him, and he's in the map room, the nicely newly painted map room, at the Red Keep, and he's going over how to move. He's like, okay, we're going to move these guys here. We don't have time. I don't care if it takes a fortnight to get these supplies. We don't have that kind of time. And he's in battle mode. And Cersei's like, can I speak to, my brother alone? They all take off, and she goes, you really are the dumbest Lannister.
Yeah. Dad was right, While you didn't pay attention, I did. Like all you wanted to do was run off and ride horses and kill things or whatever she said.
And then Jaime's like, look, we have two options. The army of the dead wins. They march south. They kill us all. Or the Northmen win. They know that we turn on them, and they march south, and they kill us all.
Yeah. It's like, what do you
where
mean?
is your plan going to go from here? So this is when she brings up what you said earlier, the third dragon wasn't there, and she's like, all this has been a show of force. The Unsullied here, the Dothraki here, flying in on the dragons. Where's her third dragon? And he's like, it could be out guarding supplies. I don't know.
Yeah. He's like, who cares? There's still two,
Yep. And she's like, so we have, and then she explains, we don't have this. He says we don't have to support the other houses. And she goes, we have the Iron Bake. We have gold. That's all we need. She's like, I'm going to get the gold company, and they're going to fight for us. And Jaime's like, well, they're not even on this continent, so how are you going to get them here? And then she reveals Euron's plan, his whole staged storm off and sail away, where he's actually going to go ferry the Gold Company back over to Westeros. They're actually in Essos, is where he said they were, where she said they were. So yeah. He says he's driving. He said he's riding north because he gave his word, just like Jon gave his about kneeling to Dany. And
Yep.
and Cersei's like, "You're walking away from me. No one turns their back on me." And boy's got balls. He calls her bluff. He's like, "You're gonna have him kill me?" He's like, "I don't think so."
Both the brothers this episode are like, "What, dude? You're gonna have the big man kill me? Do it."
Truthfully, yeah, I'll give you that. Both of them, yeah, I didn't even put that together, but both of them called her bluff. So she's a lot of talk and not a lot of action. She could have,
I think she is. She's family soft, like, like if Tyrion died in battle, like it by one of her plans or whatever, I don't think she would probably be like, "Oh, boo hoo hoo." But if she was the one that had to like slit his throat or something like that, and a lot more face to face with it, I don't know if she could ever do it, man. Like, because she loves the Lannister name so much. Like, maybe,
right.
Like she still hates Tyrion, but she's like, "You're a Lannister." That's what Lannisters don't do, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, she won't. She's not going to swing the sword. At least not in her family. She's not going to do it herself.
Yeah, like she's like, "I need as many of them as I can get."
Right. So he turns it. He calls her bluff, turns his back, walks off. We see him in civilian garb, and we see him cover his hand because, truthfully, he doesn't want anybody to recognize him. So you got to put that hand under cover. And we notice as he's putting the glove on that it's starting to snow at King's Landing. So winter has actually come to King's Landing now. It's not a nice sunny day anymore. It's over. Like it's real now. Next season it's going to be feet of snow. At King's Landing. So that was some nice little imagery. All the shots of everybody, running off the streets and getting all warm in their houses, at King's Landing. It's wintertime now. So we move on to Winterfell. We move back to Winterfell real quick for the no shit meeting between Sam and Bran. So Sam sticks his head in. He's like, "I wasn't sure you'd remember me," and then Bran's back to his own self again. "I remember everything."
yeah. Here's some weird verbiage for you and make me a little more creepy.
Oh, then he's like, "I always wondered what happened to you beyond the wall," and Bran's like, "I became the three-eyed raven."
Yeah, just all nonchalant. Became three-eyed raven. He's like, "Oh, okay, good." Sam takes it in stride. He's like, "Right on. Who am I to judge?"
He's like, "Oh, I don't know what that means."
Yeah.
So he Sam tells Bran he's on his way back to Winterfell, no, that's not what happened. Sorry. Bran tells Sam that Jon is on his way back to Winterfell with Dany, and then Sam's like, "You saw it in a vision?" And then this is where Bran tells a joke. He like holds up the scroll.
Yeah. He's like, "Hey guys, I found my sense of humor a little bit."
It was great. It was the best joke that kid's ever told. I was like, "Way to go, buddy!" I was like, "You're back, at least a little bit, just a tiny bit's back." So then he's like, "I've got to tell Jon," and he goes on about, he's like, his actual name is Jon Sand because he was born in Dorne. He goes because of the scene, because of the stuff he saw in the Tower of the, I forget what it was called, but the scene we saw earlier when she was dying, talking to Ned. And suddenly Sam's like, "I've been doing these scrolls and I've read this thing where they were actually married and Jon's not a Sand, he's a true Targaryen."
Yeah, it was a secret wedding.
So this comes to one of the points where I got pissed off because Bran asks him, "Are you certain?" The fucking three-eyed raven who can see the past and see the present and see I don't know if he can see the future or not. Do we know if he can see the future? Anyways, not the point. Of like, just he ends up going back and watching the wedding, but it's like, why would the three-eyed raven ever ask, "Are you certain?" to just a mere mortal? Like, you can see everything. Just go Google that shit real quick with your, just go back and Google it and do what you just literally did. But just the fact that he asked him the question, I was like, that's just out of character for what he is now. Like, he wouldn't have to ask the question.
I think it's to illustrate how shocking it was.
Well, the fact that he didn't do his past research, he didn't go watch anything back from the point of where Jon was born.
Well, I think he can really only move with within pieces that he kind of knows. Like, I know he's supposed to be able to see everything, but it's like, he always kind of states, like, I don't really control it.
Right.
Okay. I think that's why he was like, are you sure? Because then that gives him maybe like a solid foundation to like focal on or something like that. Okay.
Because he does hone in on that wedding real quick.
Yeah. So it's like he can then hit that timeline or whatever it is and just basically hit the rewind button and be like, yep. Oh, okay. Yeah, there it is. But I mean, also like, he did go all the way back to like Jon's life, but Jon's life is in the keep when he's being born.
Right.
I guess we could get into like, when is a baby considered a baby?
No, not on this. Nope, not on this podcast. We're not going there. Nope. I want to keep every listener I got, so we're gonna move on because we're gonna move on.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he can go back unless he he didn't have a reason to go back.
Right.
Because he just thought, she was raped.
Exactly. And exactly. And so to help spur this on, they give us Bran telling us the rest of the story while Aunt Dany and her nephew do it awkwardly on the ship, with Tyrion like weirdly creeping in the hallway outside the door.
Yeah, what was that all about, man? He looked like heartbroken, like, oh man, like I thought I had a chance because she treated me different, Yeah,
like you and Jorah are gonna go have some drinks now.
Yeah,
the friend zone.
After this war,
that's where the friend zone sits over there.
Permanently drunk.
So we're also told during this wonderfully awkward sex scene with Bran narrating that Jon's real name is Aegon Targaryen, named for his brother, which is weird, and I don't understand the whole point of that, because the baby that the mountain kills, the other Targaryen baby, when Dany and them were when they were getting everybody out of King's Landing because of the rebellion, the baby that was killed, Jon's brother, was also named Aegon Targaryen, but so apparently Aegon may be the Aiden of Westeros. So we're just gonna name everybody that. It's fine.
Or what if it's like a prefix?
No, it's just a name.
No, it's just a name. No, it's not like a family name. Like they're all named Aegon, and
they're all
like your family.
Yeah, I know. Well, I guess, but there's not like a middle. There's not like for everybody who doesn't know, because you don't know me personally. All of the men in our line share the same first name, so we all go by our middle name. But so
that's what I'm saying. Aren't they like maybe they're all just Aegon and then like Aegon Jon, Aegon?
Yeah, well, I'm cool with them naming. I'm cool with her naming that if it's in memoriam, but this is all happening roughly at the same time, so we're not really certain that the baby's even dead before she's naming it. It's almost like, well, that bitch took my baby names, but now I can take it back. I can use it now. I don't know what it was. It was just weird. I don't know. I figured they could have. Who knows? But anyways, that's a whole side thing that's not really that important. That's what his name is, and we're also informed that he is the true heir to the Iron Throne. So that's going to cause some relationship problems down the road. Probably not as many as the fact that she's your aunt, but probably still some power struggles when he actually finds out that he is the heir to the throne.
Yeah, man, but everybody gets down back then with everybody.
But we have to have...
apparently the only thing that's been frowned on is brother and sister. Like second cousins or, close relatives or whatever kind of seem to be seemed to be fair game.
Well, it's definitely going to set up the talking points for next season. You know, oh God, we just did it, but you're my aunt. Oh wait, we're a couple, and you've been wanting the Iron Throne for so long, but I'm actually the one has the true right to it. It's just, you know, interpersonal, you know, interrelationship struggles that those two will have to go through. It's just, you know, filler in between the big battles that we really like.
Yeah, I mean, I think she'll pretty much just. It's gonna sound weird, but just bow down to Jon. Like as soon as she finds out he's king, like she's so in love with him, like we're gonna forget that they're related, and everyone's gonna be like, this is just how it's supposed to be. Like they're king and queen, they're ruling in harmony.
It would be nice if they could set all this, if this all gets resolved really nicely, because she is pregnant, and truthfully, you know, they have produced the next heir to the throne, so that's taken care of. You know, she's gonna we know she's gonna be pregnant. There's no way that's not gonna be part of the plot next season. So as long as their teenage brooding about all this new stuff doesn't take away from a lot of fight scenes, I'm cool. Like I'll watch. So all right, so we're still at Winterfell, since the stuff on the ship was just kind of like over the Bran explaining stuff, and we get the last scene for this season between Arya and Sansa. It's a cute little. You know, we've been griping about their little bitchy sister scenes, so we get a nice cute like sister banter scene. Arya's like, you know, I'm just the executioner. You're the Lady of Winterfell, so we know that she has. Yes, I don't want this. I could have it, but I don't want it.
Yeah, you were always a better lady than I was. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, she says that, and then she also mentions to her that she said, "I could never have survived what you survived." Arya says it to Sansa.
Yeah.
And Sansa says you could have survived it, and so that was really cool. That somehow during this time at Winterfell, Arya has been told by somebody the story of what happened, and so she's given her mad props about it. She's like, I couldn't have done that. And then of course, so back to the sister banter, she's like, that's the nice thing you wait, what did she say? I forget now, but
I don't recall, but then she called her like basically along the lines of like, you know, you're not so much of like an annoying pipsqueak yourself anymore, kind of, you know, like
Yeah, I think Sansa said something to the effect of, you know, you could have done it, you're just as strong, or something crazy like that, or something like that. And yeah, Arya's like, that's the nice thing you've ever said to me. And then Sansa's like, we don't get used to it, you're still strange and annoying. So it was just sister banter. And then they go off quoting, they end it quoting Ned. You know, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. So good. The girls at Winterfell are strong. Everybody's together. We're all good going into season 8. You know, that's great. Good for them. Our last scene at Winterfell, Bran is warging into what I'm guessing is a raven, because we're flying at some point. And so this is where, even what happens, it's underwhelming to both you and I. Correct?
Which part are you about to talk about?
We're at the wall now.
Okay, I wasn't sure because the whole thing's been underwhelming. I wasn't sure if we've been stuck in any sludge building up to this scene.
Yeah, no, this is we're at the wall. Beric and Tormund are on the top of the wall, you know, checking the lines, standing up over the parapet that they look over out to the outside. The army of the dead starts to arrive through the trees. You get the three horns blast, which means, you know, whites are coming. And you know, at first they're just standing there like, yep, here they come, let's see what they can do. And then they hear the screech, which I will have to give the sound editor for this show like mad props, because the sound, what he did with the dragon, because we've been hearing dragon screams, good full dragon screams for the whole season, and what he does, like, you can tell that it's dead. It's like icicles like smashing against each other along with the dragon scream. Like, it's a really cool, unique way that that they have the dragon scream now. It just sounds like the scream is frozen. It's very cool. I thought it was very cool. The one thing I do want to bring up, which no one's going to care about later on down the road, but how long are those wings going to last when it comes to flying? Because they're already holy as shit. And
right? Like,
you got a long way to go.
What happened when they pulled him out of the water? I mean, did he, like... It didn't look like he lost that much wing mass when he was going down, you know? Right,
exactly. So the march from... If he doesn't take that dragon straight south... the dragon. So it shows us that dragon is still going to deteriorate unless, because it has a blue eye, it's actually a White Walker and not just a white. But if those wings get damaged in battle, that thing is not going to be aerodynamic or not be able to fly for much longer. So we may see that come into play next season, as well as if you can't kill it, you can at least ground the damn thing so you can get close enough to do something to it, to get it to hit it with dragon glass or whatever. But I just like, when it comes to aerodynamics, those wings aren't going to hold up forever if they're already got holes in them.
Yeah, well, they seem to be doing fine when they were spewing out that blue fire, just melting the ice.
Yep, I think, what was it? Was it you that said blue fire? We all pretty much sure it was gonna be blue fire, not ice. But I still thought ice would have been cool, but it makes no point. So the blue fire is what a White Walker dragon spits. We knew they're gonna change it. We knew it couldn't just be normal fire; it had to be something cool.
Yeah.
So everyone, as soon as Tormund sees the dragon and that thing opens up its first blast, everybody's got to run. They're just all just hauling ass. Now we see Beric and Tormund start running, and then we see guys trying to go down the stairs off the top of the wall. I thought they showed us Tormund going down the stairs, but then later on during the destruction, you see him still on that top of the wall, like, as things are falling, as like entire shelf of the wall is just falling in front of him. So the biggest thing that everyone's like ends on is are Beric and Tormund alive? I personally think that they were on the western side of the wall, which is only a hole from where Eastwatch was all the way to the water.
Hole. Like, he took out like the smallest piece of the wall that he could, and he's just like, what are they gonna do? Stop me? I got enough people here. Like, he doesn't care like if the alarms are raised or if more people are there. He is just there to kill, and he knows when he kills he gets more people. Like, that's I think they're all fine on the wall, and it's going to be one of those, like, they march through, and then now somehow they got to sneak by and around them to get back to where it's going,
Yeah, I think Tormund's getting Beric to haul ass just across the wall, because there's no way to get down now, because from Eastwatch all the way to the water is gone. That's what's fell. Yeah. Everything west of that stayed up. So, but if they're stuck on top and still alive, and he's done flowing off, then they just have to march the hundreds of, the wall is 300 miles long. So they're at Eastwatch, which is one whole far right side, and Castle Black is pretty much in the middle. So they got 150 miles on the top of the wall they got to cover, as fast as they can. So that'll be it'll be the Tormund and Beric show. That could be fun. I don't know. I would have rather been like the Tormund and Hound, but that's okay. I'll settle for second best. And so thus we end.
Don't worry though. His time traveling will happen in an episode. It'll be like it'll be a fortnight or like a month or something. But he'll move in an episode. Conveniently pop up when needed.
Very true. And that's it. And that ends season 7 of Game of Thrones.
Yep. And then everybody threw the remote and said, "What the?"
Right. It's like, man. So I don't know. Would you have rather have them just put 14 episodes straight?
Yeah, there's absolutely, this last episode didn't even need to be the runtime it was. You could have just put 14 straight episodes. And now apparently the next season's not airing until like 2019 or some shit.
I know it's at least a year. I know. I don't. Yeah, it's going to be a while. We have a long ways to wait between now and then. So that is our last review of Game of Thrones for the Two Dads review until next year. But we are going to, as we've said at the beginning, move to American Horror Story next week. So don't worry, we will find things to review. I know we're stuck on TV shows, but we're definitely going to do movies. And what we're about to get into, just for a quick few minutes, is kind of a what we're into, what we're looking out for, media-wise here in the near future. Corey, you want to start off? You had a couple things you wanted to go over.
Well, I'm still all into Blood Drive. I got 2 episodes left, and it's never not been amazing. Like even what you may consider a boring episode on the show is still great. And then the other show that I just got introduced to, was the trailer for, is Disjointed on Netflix, about a dispensary and her family and all this stuff, and it looks pretty comical and Netflix-esque. I don't know how else to put it. Like you can tell it's just going to be a good Netflix show.
Nice. Well, along with American Horror Story, another one that I'm going to nerd out over, which I think is kind of cool, is The Orville, which is it's Seth MacFarlane from Family Guy fame. He has his live action. It's pretty much a spin on a comedic joke / love for the Star Trek style shows. In fact, Seth MacFarlane was in an episode of Star Trek Enterprise. There's some trivia for you. He was in an episode as an engineer in the last TV show that was out for Star Trek. And I learned that it's going to be episodic. So just like a normal Star Trek show, it's like there's a bad guy, there's the problem, you fix it, and everything's done at the end, each episode. So you can just pick up an episode wherever you are. You don't have to watch it. It's not there's not going to be some sort of, major story arc over the whole 13. It looks like there's 13 episodes for this first season. The only sad thing about this show, and it's not even to do with the show, Adrienne Palicki, I think if I said her last name correctly, she is playing the first officer / his ex-wife, which makes it's going to make it hilarious anyways. But she was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they took her and her boyfriend character that was on that show off, and they were going to do a spin-off, and the pilot bombed, and no one liked it, and so that got killed off. Like they're not doing the spin-off, so we know with her being on this show, she may not be back on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I was like, it kind of sucks, but it could be fun. I hope the humor for the Orville holds up, but with Orville coming out, and then we're going to in the middle of American Horror Story season 7, Star Trek Discovery will start, and then we will probably have a really long podcast, and I'll give you a timestamp if you've come for American Horror Story or you've come for Star Trek, so you can jump to the right timestamp. If you're like, I don't care about the American Horror Story, I want to watch Star Trek stuff, listen to Star Trek stuff. That's what we'll do for those parts of the podcast. So, all right. Any final thoughts, sir?
No, I got nothing. I just want to thank everybody for listening and making us part of their lives.
Absolutely, and every week the listener pool goes up, and we want to thank all the folks who just found us for the first time for this episode. We hope you stay around for the next TV shows and movies that we decide to review and recap. And don't forget to go over to twodadsreview.com, listen to our podcast there, and hit us up on Twitter and Facebook. We love to hear what you guys think. So for Dad number 1, I want to say bye to everybody. We'll see you next week. And thanks for listening.
Yeah, take care, guys.